Snow fell like silent ash across the outpost's frozen deck, coating the metal planks with a sheen of frost. Inside, Commander Brant Keller stirred his mug of synth coffee absently, his eyes locked on the storm beyond the reinforced viewport. Another day, another blizzard on Arctis 9. He hadn't spoken to a soul in 3 weeks. The others had pulled out when the fuel lines froze solid. Keller stayed because someone had to. The wind howled like a living thing outside, but it was the sudden, soft knock that made him freeze. Not the clang of metal, not the thump of falling snow. A knock, human-like, fragile, timid. Keller blinked and set the mug down. Slowly, hand resting on the grip of his sidearm, he moved toward the pressure hatch. The outside camera feed was scrambled with static, interference from the storm, but the sensors confirmed it. Someone or something was standing just beyond the door. He disengaged the outer lock. The hatch hissed open with effort. A blast of cold wind struck his face, and then she was there, kneeling, barefoot. Her skin shimmered faintly blue beneath layers of frostbite. Her hair, soaked and matted, clung to her cheeks. She wore a simple, thin robe, nothing suited for survival in the cold, and in her trembling hands, held tightly like a sacred relic, was a piece of cardboard with 3 words scrawled in smudged ink. "Warm me." Keller stared. She didn't speak. Her lips were blue. Her eyes, glowing faintly with a violet hue, met his, desperate and resigned. 1,000 questions exploded in his mind. Where had she come from? What was she? Was this a trap? But instinct overrode everything else. She was freezing. She was dying. He reached for her. Wrapped in every blanket he owned, she lay on the cot by the heater, too weak to move, barely conscious. Her skin, now that the ice melted, was smooth and strangely luminescent. Her ears tapered delicately, and faint lines of bioluminescence pulsed beneath her arms, like veins lit from within. Alien, clearly, but not unfamiliar. There had been rumors of genetically engineered hybrids left behind after the collapse, of silent experiments once held in labs before the outposts were abandoned. Stories Keller hadn't paid much mind to. Until now, he offered her a mug of warm broth. Her hands trembled as she tried to take it. "You're safe here," he said gently. "Name?" She didn't answer. She couldn't. Instead, she closed her eyes, pressing the mug to her lips with great effort, and nodded once. Over the next few days, she recovered in silence. Keller spoke to her as he worked, repairing damaged solar panels, restocking the dwindling supplies, checking the communications array, still dead. She listened, always. Her eyes followed him around the outpost like a curious child watching a stranger. He started calling her Luma, after the glow in her skin. She didn't seem to mind. When she began to walk again, she stayed close to him, like a shadow, or perhaps a memory he didn't know he missed. On day 9, she found the sketch pad. Keller returned from the exterior fuel cell to find her sitting at the table, flipping through the pages of his drawings. Mountains, stars, a face that looked eerily like hers, sketched from memory. She turned the pad toward him and tapped the image. "You remember," she rasped. Her voice was cracked, like something in use for years. "Me?" Keller's stomach flipped. "What do you mean?" Her fingers trembled as she pointed again at the drawing. "Project Nyara," she whispered. "You were the one. You looked at us like we were people." Keller staggered back. He had been stationed on Arctis 6 years ago, part of a research mission to observe early-stage hybrid development. Most of the team had treated the test subjects like lab material, data points in containment pods. Except him. He used to sneak drawings to the young ones, leave toys in their holding cells, speak to them when the others wouldn't. One had drawn on the walls in return. Stars, birds, suns. She'd been only a child. Luma, "It was you," he said softly. She nodded, then leaned forward, voice growing steadier. "They left us. All of us. When the labs failed. They sealed the doors and ran. The cold came. Many died. I ran." Keller's hands balled into fists. The command had always denied the lab's existence after the collapse. "I thought they evacuated." "They did. Without us." The next few days were different. They were filled with more than survival. Luma asked questions now. About the stars, about Earth, about music. She laughed, light and clear like ice chimes, when he tried to dance to an old recording of swing jazz. She touched the window often, watching the endless snow with an expression Keller couldn't quite read. One night, she looked up at him and asked, "Why did you let me in?" He blinked. "You were freezing. I wasn't human. I could have been dangerous." Keller smiled faintly. "You weren't." She stared. "You didn't know that. I just knew you were cold." Luma turned back to the window. "You were the only one who ever looked at me without fear." Storms passed. Spring came, in its own cold, arced his way. The ice thinned. Keller worked on the long-range comm relay, hoping for a signal, an answer. Luma helped. Side by side, they rebuilt the outpost. She learned fast, mechanics, wiring, navigation. Every moment felt effortless with her near, like the station itself had finally found its balance. He no longer heard only the wind. He heard her humming. Then came the day the dropship landed. Keller's signal had finally reached command. He expected supplies. Instead, they sent a recovery team and soldiers. The officers were efficient, cold, precise. The moment they saw Luma, the lead officer's hand went to his weapon. "That's a Nyara unit," he said. "Lab property." "She's not a unit," Keller growled. "She's a person. She's classified," the officer snapped. "She goes back in containment." Luma didn't speak. She simply stepped behind Keller, her hand curling into his coat. He stepped in front of her, pulse thundering. "She stays." A long silence followed. Snow drifted down like the quiet before war. Finally, the officer gave a bitter smile. "You've got 48 hours. If she's still here when we return, we will take her. With or without you." They left. Luma turned to him that night. "You should go with them. Not without you. They'll come back. I'll be waiting." She stared at him. "Why?" "Because someone has to see you as more than what they built." Her eyes filled. She leaned her forehead against his chest. "Then I will stay," she whispered. The dropship never returned. Instead, a new order was passed quietly through the command channels. Keller was listed as deceased in the system. The outpost was marked inactive. And Arctis 9 was forgotten. Years passed. The outpost became a home. Keller built a garden dome. Luma filled it with things she painted from memory. Flowers Earth hadn't seen in centuries. Stars that never looked the same twice. They read books, danced in the snow, and watched the auroras together. They held hands beneath starlight and spoke of a future with no numbers, no cages, no knocks in the cold. And when their daughter was born, half earth blood, half starlight, they named her Hope.